tips. What can we do to make big kilns cool down faster? Keep the door slightly open at a certain temperature. There isn't really a practical way to speed up the cooling cycle. So in my strategic glazing class, I shared that how the cooling cycle, the length of time that your glazes take to get from their top temperature to where they have solidified, which is around 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. So the amount of time that it takes to cool can really affect your glaze results, because crystallization happens during the cooling cycle. The slower your cooling cycle is, the more crystallization can happen. And I shared this green glossy glaze that I was firing in my home kiln, and that cooled really quickly, where I was reaching cone 6 at like 10 p.m. and first thing in the morning I was cracking the kiln to unload it. Whereas at the rec center, where we had these really large kilns with thick bricks, those took over 24 hours to cool. And my results, so in the very slow cooling, the green glaze, this green glossy glaze, would have these little pink flecks where it was pooling and where it was thinner. And then in the slow cooling of the large kiln, which was just the natural cooling cycle, it just took longer to cool because it was bigger and had thicker bricks. The glaze turned out pink and matte, like completely pink and matte. And you could only see a little bit of green where the glaze was pooling in the bowls. And there isn't a way to speed up your cooling cycle. I would not recommend cracking the kiln, because you have to think about your clay body as well. And thermal shock, you have like this cool draft of room temperature air hitting all of your pots where the temperature is over 1,000, 1,800 degrees or whatever. There isn't a good way to speed it up. You could pull all the peeps out for the cooling cycle. That would speed it up a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to make a significant impact on your glaze results. So all you can do is slow down your cooling cycle by programming a slower cool, or getting a smaller kiln that is just going to naturally cool more quickly. So unfortunately, we can't speed it up. We can only slow it down and we slow it down by programming a cooling cycle that turns the elements back on during the cooling cycle, which slows down the cooling.